With Israel on alert for an attack from Iran, the U.S. sends over a top military commander in a show of support. And O.J. Simpson passes away at the age of 76, his death sparking mixed reaction. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Friday, April 12th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. With the Israeli military on high alert after Iran's vow to retaliate following an attack on its embassy in Syria that killed several commanders, the United States has sent its top military commander to Israel in a show of support. General Michael Eric Kurilla, the commander for U.S. Central Command in the Middle East, arrived in Israel on Thursday. Officials telling the New York Times the general will coordinate with the Israeli army concerning Iran's expected retaliatory action. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Israel is preparing for a direct attack from Iran as soon as this weekend, though a person connected with Iranian leadership has said no final decision has been made. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says, "Whoever harms us, we will harm them." The U.S. and Israel have been at odds recently over the ongoing military operations in Gaza, but this week President Biden said the U.S. commitment to Israel's security against threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad. In Washington, House Speaker Mike Johnson is actively negotiating with the White House to push forward funding for Ukraine and Israel. That's according to House Republican leader Steve Scalise. Johnson is aiming to modify the Senate's proposed $95 billion security package. Johnson's considerations include structuring part of the aid as loans and targeting Russian frozen assets. The effort has faced delays as Johnson tries to meet the demands of both the White House and divided Republicans. President Joe Biden has criticized the House for not passing aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Johnson is in talks with former President Donald Trump about the funding. The two are set to meet today at Mar-a-Lago for talks on election integrity. The leaders of the United States, Japan, and the Philippines held their first ever trilateral summit at the White House on Thursday. President Biden, along with the Japanese Prime Minister and Philippine President, agreeing to modernize military alliances, integrate defense mechanisms, and enhance technological cooperation in areas such as AI. The initiative also includes efforts to counteract China while emphasizing support for a peaceful resolution in Taiwan. The U.S. and Japan are enhancing the capabilities of the Philippine Coast Guard by providing additional vessels. Additionally, the agreements encompass investments in infrastructure and advanced technologies, including the goal of Japan landing its first astronaut on the moon through the U.S. Artemis project, and pioneering efforts in nuclear fusion. Now to an update to a story we've been following for weeks here on The Rundown. The former interpreter of Shohei Ohtani being accused of stealing millions of dollars from the Los Angeles Dodgers star player. On Thursday, the Department of Justice charged the ex-interpreter with bank fraud, alleging he stole more than $16 million from Ohtani over 2 years to pay off gambling debts to illegal sportsbooks. Our Lauren Taylor has more.
According to the New York Times, Ippei Mitsuhara is working out a deal to plead guilty to the charges. U.S. Attorney Martin Estrada said Mitsuhara helped Ohtani set up a bank account and then turned off alerts about transactions. He reportedly used millions of dollars to pay off his own sports betting. Estrada said Mitsuhara acted as Ohtani's de facto manager, using and abusing the trust Ohtani put in him.
And Mr. Mitsuhara did all this to feed his insatiable appetite for illegal sports betting.
Prosecutors say he eventually admitted to the crime after first saying Ohtani had given him the money to pay off the bets. Ohtani has denied ever betting on sports and is not implicated in any of the charges.
You can find Lauren's full report now on our website, san.com. The family of O.J. Simpson has announced the former football star, who was acquitted of the 1994 killings of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman, had died on Wednesday at the age of 76 after a battle with cancer. The family saying Simpson was surrounded by his children and grandchildren, Simpson's death prompting reaction from key figures of the murder trial that became known as the trial of the century. Fred Goldman, the father of Ron Goldman, telling NBC News, "It's no great loss to the world. It's a further reminder of Ron's being gone." Attorney Gloria Allred, who once represented Nicole's family, telling ABC News, "I don't mourn for O.J. Simpson. I do mourn for Nicole Brown Simpson and her family, and they should be remembered." Attorney Alan Dershowitz, an advisor to O.J. Simpson's legal team, telling the Associated Press, O.J. Simpson played an important role in exposing the racial divisions in America. His trial also exposed police corruption among some officials in the Los Angeles Police Department. He will leave a mixed legacy, great athlete. Many people think he was guilty. Some think he was innocent. And White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre responding to a question on O.J. Simpson's passing during yesterday's press briefing.
So I'll say this, our thoughts are with his families during this difficult time, obviously with his family and loved ones. And I'll say this, I know that they have asked for some privacy, and so we're going to respect that. I'll just leave it there.
Finally this morning, it was a case of being at the right place at the right time as the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy were able to rescue sailors stranded on a remote Pacific island for more than a week. The sailors using only the resources they had on the island to attract attention. The sailors, all men in their 40s who are said to be related, used palm leaves to spell out the word help on the beach, a move being called a crucial factor in their discovery. The sailors were out on a fishing trip on Easter Sunday when their sailboat was damaged and they became trapped on the tiny island that's part of the Federated States of Micronesia for days. After receiving a distress call from a relative on April 6th, a Coast Guard aircraft spotted the help sign a day later. The Coast Guard dropping a radio to the men who said they were in good health and surviving on coconuts. The sailors were rescued earlier this week and are now safely back home. These are your top stories for this Friday. Unbiased, straight facts. That's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here on Monday. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great weekend.